what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said I wanted to be a princess. I'm pretty sure I was already aware that that wasn't a real occupation, but what can I say? I was a dreamer. And of course, I didn't want to be a real princess like Diana or Kate. I wanted to be a princess out of the films and books and fairy tales, that lives in a big castle and wears pretty poofy dresses and can do whatever she wants all day. I didn't equate being a princess to marrying a prince. I really didn't care about that. When I think about it, that's still my dream, if you add a cat in there. I grew up on many different fairy tales. Of course, on Disney's Snow White, Cinderella, or The Little Mermaid. The Barbie films, Barbie and the Nutcracker, or Barbie of Swan Lake. I also grew up with the German fairy tales that are much less magical and way more disturbing. A very important Christmas fairy tale for me was the German-Czech production of 3 Wishes for Cinderella. Later in life, I watched the French film Donkey Skin and more of the Czech fairy tale adaptations. And when doing research about this topic, I saw so many more Russian or American adaptations. Fairy tales are truly the most adopted genre. For a good reason. There is so much to fairy tales. Morale, gender roles, societal norms. They mirror the society of their time. Recently, though, I have been finding myself more and more annoyed by how the female leads are being written. Or have been written. If they are good and moral, then they are one thing. Pretty. Or they are pretty, but are turned ugly until they learn their lesson and turn pretty again. I read a collection of fairy tales a while ago, and without fail, in every single one, the female protagonist was described as pretty or beautiful. Oftentimes, this was the only adjective used. This is also the case with the old Greek stories about the gods. The women, if they are a love interest, are always the prettiest woman in the land. A study found that around 94% of fairy tales mention physical appearance, and that there are about 5 times more references to women's beauty per tale than to men's handsomeness. Of course, because we've always seen a woman's worth in her appearance. I'm aware that modern adaptations challenge this by giving the leads actual personality traits. But one thing remains. The leads are pretty. So pretty, in fact, that the prince falls in love just by looking at them. I noticed how much watching these fairy tales at a young age has influenced and affected myself and everyone else in how we rate our own worth and the worth of others. Am I worth something if I'm not pretty? Is someone else worth less if they are not widely seen as beautiful? Oftentimes, they are treated worse if they don't uphold their outer appearance. We have a term for that: pretty privilege. The study I already cited also found that there is a clear link to beauty and goodness and ugliness and evil. The pretty and handsome leads are mostly good and just people, while the ugly ones are ugly inside and out. Let's look at probably the most adapted fairy tale and how over the time the contents of it changed. But first, what does a fairy tale deem as beautiful and what as ugly? Explained with a very professional PowerPoint made by me. To start, written fairy tales rarely give descriptions to what makes their character beautiful or ugly. They just simply state that they are beautiful, and we will fill in the blanks with our imagination, which consists of the current beauty standards of our time. Usually, the villains in the animations and films are way more eccentric looking than the heroes. Their skin color has an unhealthy green, blue, or gray to it. They have wrinkles or lines. They wear strong makeup. The figure is either super skinny or way bigger than the hero. Their clothes are shrill and their noses are bigger. Compare that to the princesses. They have small faces, small noses. Their clothes are minimalistic. They wear very little makeup, just some to liven them up and make them look youthful. They're skinny, but not so skinny you can see the bones, and all in all, they're modest. You notice this patriarchal idea to keep the heroine small and modest and to paint an eccentric-looking woman as evil. To be good and beautiful is to be restrained, young and natural. To be loud and shrill is not. To be very clear, I personally don't hold that belief and don't consider any of these characters who play an evil character as ugly. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at a few Cinderella adaptations and start with the original text of the Brothers Grimm. This wife brought 2 daughters into the house with her. They were beautiful, with fair faces, but evil and dark hearts. Interestingly, although the 2 daughters are described as having beautiful faces, the film later translates this into ugly faces and or eccentric flashy clothing matching their ugly hearts. It only makes sense that a visual medium would visualize important character traits, but this change has an effect on us. If you are unattractive, you have a flawed personality. Schiller already wrote in 1882, physical beauty is the sign of an interior beauty, a spiritual and a moral beauty. This belief has been ingrained in us for ages and lives on in folklore and fairy tales since they have first been spoken out loud. I don't think that most of us are aware of how deep this belief sits within ourselves. We are certain that we judge a person based on their character, free of stereotypes. But that's just not the case, is it? Watching internet culture dig into a celebrity the moment it deems them as unattractive paints a different picture. They took her beautiful clothes away from her, dressed her in an old grey smock, and gave her wooden shoes. They thought she must be a foreign princess, for she looked so beautiful in the golden dress. Then the bird threw down an even more magnificent dress than on the preceding day. When Cinderella appeared at the festival in this dress, everyone was astonished at her beauty. Cinderella's beauty is being enhanced by her clothing. The rags and ashes make her unnoticeable, while the pretty shiny dresses make her stand out. They are a key component to the original story. A similar trope appears in Donkey Skin. Here, the princess flees the court so she does not have to marry her father and wears the skin and fur of a donkey as to not be noticed. When she wears her sparkly dresses again, she gets noticed by a prince who immediately falls in love with her beauty. The story of Cinderella is probably the most changed fairy tale and the most adapted. The bloody shoes and the twigs from the tree are being omitted, and it becomes more of a story about a child that is being mistreated by her stepmother and stepsisters, a girl that is not allowed to show her true beauty. In the modern adaptations, Cinderella is a shy girl, a poor girl in a rich family, kept small by those around her. She doesn't get to wear the nice clothes and dresses. She doesn't get to participate in society like her stepsisters. Again, she doesn't get to show off her beauty until one fateful day, and on this day she's a stunner, the talk of the school, the prettiest in the room. Finally worthy of the football player.
Love her dress. Hate her.
And of course, she is beautiful because she is kind, but her surrounding couldn't appreciate this kindness before her beauty was discovered. We learn from fairy tales time and time again that you are special if you are beautiful. That's what makes us desirable and strong. That's our power as a woman. Our character directly correlates to our beauty. And although I always hear the request for real people to be cast in movies, I am not sure that that's what most people really want. Because we want to see beauty, especially in a magical fairy tale world. We want to see attractive faces, to delve into a fantasy world where everything is too perfect, and then we need to be like these beautiful bodies to be part of this world. So will this ever change? Maybe in little ways. There have been more and more modern adaptations that give the ugly fairy tale characters a redemption arc, like in the Cinderella sequel, The Ugly Stepsister, Maleficent, although Angelina Jolie transforms the rather unattractive evil queen into a very much attractive person. Without a doubt, the stories have been subjected to changes over the past decades. First, the female leads are being saved by a prince, Later they become more feminist and women save themselves or take part in saving themselves. And now not only white women get to be a princess. And it's about damn time, because this video essay has about 99% white women in it, which only speaks to the point that white features have been the beauty standard for a long time in media. The times change, and so do fairy tales with them. But the beauty of the characters doesn't change, because our society still values beauty, especially female beauty, immensely. What would a fairy tale look like if beauty wasn't the reward or the proof of being good?
Oh my gosh. I'm not a princess. I'm a dragon.
Wake up, woman! You're not a princess, you're a dragon!
And they lived happily ever after.